Rosie.
Is Lisa frozen?
I think so.
Right, okay. Oh, bless her. Right. So I don't know whether...
Could you start with some of the housekeeping bits, please, Rosie, just letting people know?
Yes, yeah, of course. Hi everyone. Welcome to this talk. It's really great to have you here today. Just to let you know, we are recording this meeting, so anyone who's not been able to attend will be able to watch the recording back, and we'll be sharing a link to that on our website and social media. So also, please feel free to put your cameras on if you want to. It's sort of an open space where it's really lovely to see people's faces, but of course there's no pressure for you to do that. We have disabled the microphones for now, so if you do have any comments or questions that you'd like to share, please do just pop them in the chat, and we'll be sort of monitoring that throughout the talk. I think those are the main points. So recording's begun. So yeah, over to you three.
Sorry about that. As soon as I started talking, it threw me out.
Luckily, you're so beautiful, Lisa. It doesn't matter when you're frozen in any kind of position.
Afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for so many of you joining us. It's lovely to have both staff and public. So thank you very much for giving up your lunch times. We're very mindful that you've taken time out of your day to join us. The plan today is that myself and Nadia and Emma are going to talk about the menopause, how you can feel empowered in your own menopause, but also what menopause services we're offering here in the Cwmtaf Morgannwg Health Board. So first off, to introduce myself, my name is Lisa. I am a GP and I've been a doctor for coming up to 18 years now. So I'm still here as an enthusiastic GP, and I'm a specialist in what's known as lifestyle medicine, which is an evidence-based field of medicine where we can work with patients to put in some lifestyle or behavioural changes that can improve long-term health and also reverse a lot of chronic diseases that are lifestyle related. And I also work with both Emma and Nadia in our wellness improvement service and now our Mali service. But I'll hand over to Emma to introduce herself as well.
Yes, my name is Emma. I'm a principal clinical psychologist and the psychology lead for the Wellness Improvement Service. Like Lisa, I have an absolute passion for lifestyle medicine and really helping people to understand what their goals are. You know, what is their sense of direction, what are their passions, and helping people to take active and practical steps towards living a quality of life that feels worth tolerating all of the stresses that we have in life as well, than just, yeah, really building themselves up, really.
Okay, Nadia, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, good afternoon, everybody, and congratulations to all the women out there. It's World Menopause Day, so thank you all for being here this afternoon. I'm Nadia, and I've been working in the field of women's health for the last 25 years. I'm showing my age, but I'm also proud to say I'm menopausal, so hopefully I can also bring a lot of my own experience to the table. I've been working specifically in the field of menopause since I started my training, which was back in 99, and I'm really privileged and honoured to be the clinical lead for the menopause service within CTM UHB. And like Lisa and Emma, I'm very passionate about how we can utilise our approach to lifestyle medicine in making ourselves feel well, but also empower us to take more control of our health for now and the future. I'll hand back to Lisa.
Brilliant. So we've had lots of questions in, so thank you very much for sending your questions in ahead of time. Some really interesting questions that I think not only by answering them we will help that individual with the question, but I think a lot of the a lot of these questions will actually be really relatable for everyone else on the call as well. Please do engage with us on the chat. So if you've got anything to add, if you've got your own experience, your own tips that can help other people, then please feel free to add in your wisdom as well, because that's the best thing about going through menopause with other women, is that you can learn from other women's real experience and what works and what doesn't work. But I wanted to first start with Mali, which is a new service that's coming to the Cwmtaf Morgannwg Health Board. This is on all of our backgrounds, the pink, white and blue. And maybe Nadia, you can, seeing as this is your passion and your brainchild, why don't be the wonderful Mali?
So I'm going to give you a little bit of background. So in 2016-15, I went through early menopause. And if any of you heard the interview this morning with Terry Mann, I spoke about my own journey. But I am indebted to my best friend, who is Lisa, who really showed me a different way of how to take care of myself and my health by looking at my lifestyle. And I genuinely feel, and I know that that really saved me, because I think without that approach, I may have been going through early menopause, but I was also heading for total burnout. And Lisa really helped me take a step back and look at all the pillars of my life, which really made sense. And I was just in awe of this new field and this new area that Lisa had kind of introduced into my life. And so fast forward, 6 years down the line, I am in a better shape than what I've ever been, but I'm also so much more empowered and passionate about life. And I was so kind of passionate about bringing this kind of element of health to women, that I actually looked through my messages, and in the beginning of June 2023, Lisa and I always kind of text each other at night, and I was WhatsApping Lisa. I was like, Lisa, we really need to bring this lifestyle medicine into our health board formally. What can we call it, and what can we name it? And we need to kind of give it a name. And I've been talking to women within the menopause service about different elements of logos, and I said, what about Mali? Maybe menopause and lifestyle improvement. And Mali is very Welsh. It's an endearing name for a young Welsh child. And I text Lisa late at night, what do you think about Mali? And she's like, oh, I love it. Yeah, let's go for it. So this program has been on our minds and in our hearts for since June 2023. So as a stepping stone to get Mali off the ground, we first of all had to look at how can we change maybe the mindset of people towards consultations, because a Mali consultation and a Mali program is going to take the place as it is today. This format, a health coach with maybe an expert, with our patients who are true life experts, coming together to share each other's experience in all those pillars of health. And the first thing we really had to do was, okay, let's kind of introduce more digital working. And we started introducing our telephone clinics within the menopause service. But to take it a step further, we introduced the video group clinics, which is exactly how Mali's going to be run. And so I'm really pleased to say, with a very, very passionate menopause team and a gynecology team behind us and the directorate team, we actually launched our video group clinics in March of 2024, coinciding with the International Women's Day. I really, again, being a slightly neurodivergent person, I have to link things with other things. And I thought, okay, International Women's Day, we're going to launch the VGCs, which we did. And so the video group clinics are now up and running in CTM. They are giving women the opportunity to kind of be seen in a flexible format. Women who are disabled are able to attend those clinics. And I'm really pleased to say and proud to say that we've so far held 13 clinics being facilitated by our amazing nursing team and our admin team and the support of the directorate. So where we're moving forward now, Lisa and I are putting together the Mali program, which is a true collaborative program of lifestyle medicine with menopause help and advice, and it will be run exactly in this format on a screen, where you'll have a health coach. Maybe Lisa and I will pop in as experts to give you additional layer of support, and we're just kind of ironing out the nitty-gritty of it, but hopefully to launch in January 2025.
Yeah, so we'll basically, anyone who needs to be referred to a specialist menopause clinic will be seen in a group format with you, Nadia, as leading that, with around 6 women, I gather.
Yeah. Our video group clinics are 6 women maximum, because I think that allows for a intimate but also a sharing space. Anything more than 6 patients is too many. We come together, we do a little bit of, like we've done today with Rosie, kind of what are the how the housekeeping points of how the session is going to run. And then within an hour, I would have a one-to-one consultation with the women in front of the other women. And I know that's difficult for some people to get their heads around. How is that going to work? But I can honestly say, for us who kind of run the sessions and the women who attend the sessions, they feel that it's a safe space, that they don't feel as lonely as they used to be. They realize that there's so many other people going through what they're going through, and they learn so much, because it's like doing 5 consultations with 5 other people, where you are actually going to learn and hear about other things as well that could help you. And then the women who come to the video group clinic will be offered the option of joining Mali in January 2025. And I'm pleased to say that we already have our first clinic is nearly full, and our first program is nearly full and ready to go in January.
Yeah, so
that's great.
the Mali part then will be led by a health coach who is going to do coaching in the pillar of lifestyle medicine, of which there are 6. So lifestyle medicine is based on 6 pillars, which is sleep, mental well-being, physical movement, healthy diet, social connection, and minimizing any harmful substances or harmful behaviors. So basically the women will be able to have health coaching to manage a lot of the menopausal symptoms with evidence-based lifestyle changes and behavioral changes targeted for menopause. So where the guidance and research has shown this will likely make a difference. And what we know from group clinics and group consultations is exactly what Nadia said, that patient feedback is that actually they learn much more than from one-to-one consultations, as well as reducing the feelings of isolation. But in particular with menopause, it's such a varied experience, and it changes so much throughout the period of menopause, so that actually if you're in a group of 6 other women and one of the other women has described a symptom that you don't have, it doesn't necessarily mean you don't have it. It might mean that you don't have it yet. So actually hearing the guidance of what's worked for someone else might be really helpful if you hit that point, and then you can put that into practice, and you might find that actually you feel much more empowered as a whole. So yeah, very exciting to be offering a holistic approach to menopause care. And as you said, a lot of the women that have already tried it out are giving really positive feedback. We'd be really interested to hear what people's initial thoughts are. So if you've got any initial thoughts, or maybe like initial hesitations or concerns, it'd be really interesting to hear. We're always interested to hear people's feedback on that. But so far the feedback has been very positive. We have group approaches in our wellness improvement service, which is already a health coaching service that we run in the health board. So the coaches are very experienced of managing a group of people through their shared experience. But shall we move on to some of the questions? Because we've had some really interesting questions actually through. So let's start. They're all going to be anonymous. I'm not going to share any names, but lots of you might find interesting and find these relevant for your own situation. So first off, I am 56. I have been going through the menopause for the past 6 years, and I've been using HRT patches, Everall 50 milligrams, and I also have the coil. It has been working really well. It stabilized the night sweats, which was the main concern, and also stabilized the anxiety. However, I suffered a subarachnoid hemorrhage, which is a bleed on the brain, and received an operation at the Heath, and a coil was placed in the aneurysm. And since then, I've been recommended to stop the HRT because of risks of blood clots, and I've stopped using the patches. As a result, the night sweats and the anxiety is back. My anxiety, the GP feels that the anxiety might be the result of the trauma that I've experienced. But could you please advise if I'm unable to use HRT in the future, and what could potentially help with my night sweats? So first off, I'm very sorry to hear that you've been through that. How absolutely traumatic and stressful. So not only have you had that, but you've also got to deal with going through the menopause, which in itself is difficult without having one of these major health traumas. So I really feel for you going through that, and I'm sure Nadia and Emma will agree it's certainly a difficult time for you. But by the sounds of what you're asking there, your number one worry is HRT ever going to be a possibility, seeing as it's worked so well for you before? Nadia, what do you think?
So I will, again, I echo Lisa's where she was saying there about feeling bad for you, because it is a difficult time. Midlife health is quite a challenging time without going through the menopause and all the complexities that are going around in our lives. I'd just like to say today is that we have not pre-rehearsed the questions, so we're very impromptu, and we really want this to be a conversational webinar and not really kind of like one-to-one consultations, because we won't be able to get through all the questions. But what I could say to yourself, if you're on the call, or to anybody who's gone through a similar situation, is this would absolutely fit the criteria for being referred to what we call our complex menopause service, or our menopause specialist service. And it's within that service you would get access to an expert in menopause care, whether it's myself or my colleagues. You know, there are now 1, 2, 3, 4, there are 6 of us in the health board who are dealing with menopause care. Kind of what I would say from a HRT perspective, more specifically, I do believe that you would be a candidate for HRT in the future, providing it's the correct form, how it's given to you, the dose, and it's also taking into account the whole picture. So I do believe that you would be a candidate for going back onto HRT. Our GPs now are very well versed in the care of menopause. We also have an email advice line, so in case there's also maybe GPs listening to this call today, so your GP could send us an email to the menopause service if they just wish to have some quick advice, and we can get back to them quickly, because there is a wait to be seen, and we do look at the whole picture. So if somebody may come in, although menopause is not classed as being an urgent health condition that needs to be taken care of, and therefore you would fall onto what we call a routine pathway, which does have a long wait. We have to be kind of realistic, and post-COVID has really affected all our waiting lists. But we would triage patients based on their whole picture. So yes, you have gone through menopause, and yes, you've gone through this traumatic event, and it does sound like absolutely you need some specialist support to help with advice regarding HRT. So get your GP to send a referral in. We will look at that, and we will prioritise you to be able to see you within the service. But I'm sure it's not just HRT that's going to help, and therefore I would like to hand back to Em and to Lisa, who may also give you some general advice to help with the symptoms that you're suffering with. Em, do you have anything to say?
Yeah, my heart was aching as Lisa was reading that question out then as well. Like, this person has been through so much. And I noted that their GP said, you know, your anxiety might be a result of the trauma that you've been through. And that might be true as well. Anxiety is rarely due to one thing. So if you experienced anxiety as part of your menopause symptom profile before, that's very likely to have really woken up now and to be playing a part. and you've had a brain hemorrhage, and you're worried that you're not getting restful enough sleep in order to recover. So there's just so many stresses going on for you, aren't there? And I was really, my heart goes out to you, absolutely. And my sense is that you need to take care of your anxiety. You know, it's shouting at you for a reason. And I feel like, considering everything that you've been through, anxiety has sort of earned its place. It gets a bit of a bad rap sometimes. Anxiety is like, you know, just go away and leave me alone. You're making life more difficult for me. But anxiety is trying to do you a favor as well. It's saying lots of scary, potentially life-threatening things have happened to you. So I'm on high alert, you know, and fair play to your anxiety. I think that's reasonable of anxiety. So I'm wondering, I'd be really interested in the chat actually, if people have ways, tips and tricks that help them to cope with anxiety, to activate their, oh, I'm feeling safe, you know, I'm feeling comforted, I'm feeling soothed, really finding a way to tap into those things for you, because it's different for everyone. To really take active steps towards soothing your anxiety. I think it's a very natural response for your anxiety to be heightened at this time, and anxiety will go off on its own. But what doesn't happen so naturally on its own is the activation of that soothing system. So I'd be really interested for this person. People are putting things in the chat like exercise, like yoga, breathing exercises, having a nice bath, music. And something that we hear a lot is that people don't have time to activate their soothing system. And what I hear time and time again from people when they make time for that is they feel like their time grows. They have more to give. You can't pour from an empty cup, right? So making that time to take care of yourself. Self-care gets a bad rap as something that's selfish, especially in British culture. And actually this isn't the culture across the whole world. But we know that people invest in their relationships more. They feel like they've got more to give to work. You know, their relationships with their partners improve when they take care of themselves. So finding a way to soothe your anxiety and really look after yourself, I think, is going to be really important. And of course, anxiety and sleep disturbance wind each other up. So anxiety increases your levels of stress hormones like cortisol, adrenaline, noradrenaline. It's more likely to make you wake up at night. We know that if you do have night sweats, your cortisol and noradrenaline spikes immediately after a hot flush as well, or a night sweat. So you're getting this compounding effect of prolonged stress in terms of the neurochemical profile in your body. And that impacts on sleep, motivation, self-esteem, low mood, sex drive, your appetite. You're more likely to crave high-hitting, sugary, you know, snacks, and high dopamine activities like gambling, caffeine, drinking. All of these things disrupt your sleep even further. And this is what we see, is that people's lifestyle and the experiences they have, they turn into this kind of washing machine effect where everything winds each other up. So for me, I think the key, even outside of the medical advice about HRT, which I have very little knowledge of, I would defer to Nadia on that, is finding ways to really take care of yourself. And this is what the Mali programme is all about. So if there's a way for you to get into the VGCs and to come onto the Mali programme, or to join the General Wellness Improvement Service programme, there's lots of free advice on the Wellness Improvement Service website as well. And also just have a little look at the tips that other people have given in the chat bar as well. I hope that they'll help take care of yourself. That's what I want to say.
Lots of comments coming in. Brain fog is another one affected by the anxiety. I certainly feel like anxiety is one of the key reasons people come to see me as a GP when it comes to menopause. They get to the point where the anxiety is unbearable, having all the knock-on effects that you mentioned there, Emma. But lots of helpful tips from other people. I find exercise, especially out in green spaces, and taking time to be creative massively helps with my anxiety. Lots of great evidence to show that green spaces and embracing your creative side can soothe anxiety, which is so that's there. Someone said I've been taking ashwagandha, which has helped enormously with my anxiety. We'll actually come on to ashwagandha for sharing that, Helen. What else? Absolutely agree, sleep. Self-care is often marketed as something expensive, but it can be as simple as having an early night a few times a week. Yeah, there's so many inexpensive things. Self-care is not just for the middle class, and I think sometimes it gets terrible marketing where it's overly promoted in the media as something expensive or expensive hobbies we need to do, when actually the simplest things have the best effect.
Absolutely.
There was another quick comment that I thought we could address quickly here. Can we self-refer to your services? My GP is very dismissive, naughty GP, and doesn't feel I need a service, but I've been told as I've stopped HRT due to side effects, I'm obviously okay and I don't need further help. Right, well, I would certainly go back to your GP and explain that there is this new VGC that Nadia is running alongside the health coaching that WISE is doing, and they can send another referral, because you could still be seen by Nadia in her menopause clinic and have health coaching through the Mali service. With the Mali service, we are likely to have self referrals to that. So keep having a look at the website for that, because as soon as that's available, we will promote it everywhere to let you know.
Yeah. How about staff, Lisa? Some staff got in touch and asked if they live outside of Cwmtaf Morgannwg, but they work for CTM-UHB. Is there a way for them to access the menopause pathway that Nadia talked about?
At the minute, because it's going to be Cwmtaf Morgannwg Health Board patients only. But we're looking to expand this model to work with our staff wellbeing services. So again, keep an eye out, because obviously we want to promote this everywhere.
Certainly within CTM-UHB, certainly for our staff, more than 80% of our staff are women, and so we need to give back to our staff. And so if you were to go to occupational health from wherever you live, as long as if you're working in CTM-UHB, you can go to occupational health, and there is that avenue to come into the menopause service through the occupational health. We've dedicated a couple of sessions within the month specifically for staff, because it's so important to keep our staff well and within work. So if you're really suffering and you want to take time off, that's going to have a compounded effect on the organisation. And so my predecessor, my colleague, Dr. Helen Bayliss, she'd set that up before Helen moved and went to Cardiff. And so that's up and running. So staff can refer to the menopause service through occupational health. And as Lisa said, we are piloting Mali. So it's something new, it's innovative. So at the moment, it is mainly the women who've come through the video group clinics who are being referred on to Mali. And I do believe, I did notice in the chat, there was somebody who asked a question of how long is it? What's the waiting time to be seen within the menopause service? I mean, last year in April, May, the waiting time was about 80 weeks. We've worked really hard to try and bring that down. We did bring it down just under, I think, about 48 weeks. It's gone back up a little bit because we lost Helen, also annual leave, specifically in June and July. We're still relatively young or old enough to have children that are still in school, so we do take time off. But the women who are being seen in the VGC, it's about 9 months wait, and the women who choose not to take part in the VGC, they still would like to have the traditional one-to-one appointment. It's about a year.
Okay, so it's quicker to come through the VGCs as well as all of the added benefits about not feeling alone and learning from others that we talked about.
At the moment,
that's good
yes.
to know. That's good to know.
Okay, great. Let's move on to another question. I have always had a healthy sex life with my husband until the menopause kicked my ass. My libido these days isn't rock bottom now because I've been on testosterone for 7 months. But I was really hoping for more of an improvement than I've had, as I still don't feel like I have a sex drive. So my question is this: if women need testosterone as much, if not more than men, why can't this be prescribed by the NHS? I had to pay privately to get my HRT in the first place, being offered antidepressants and contraception from the GP, despite discussing a number of symptoms that I was experiencing. I had a review last week and was told if I need more testosterone to have a discussion around this, I would need to pay privately again. So very, very good question. Very, very common question. So lots of women that come to see me as a GP, I will proactively ask about its impact on sex life. The vast majority will say that their sex life has been massively affected by the perimenopause and the menopause, and that is putting extra strain on their relationships, but often from their own side as opposed to from their partners expressing concerns. Often it's the guilt that they feel that they're kind of adding more pressure onto themselves. But sex life is often affected because of the hormones, because of that drop in the estrogen, but also because of the anxiety, the brain fog, the joint pain. Someone asked there, does perimenopause, menopause give joint pains? Yes, it does. So all of the added symptoms will obviously have a knock-on effect on intimacy and desire as well as the symptoms that you can get in the vagina, such as dryness or discomfort or painful sex, and the knock-on effect that has. So women's desire is exceptionally complex. I think all agree. It's much more complex than the
testosterone.
And your sex drive can be a responsive sex drive, or it can be a spontaneous sex drive. But the vast majority of women have this responsive sex drive where actually you need to proactively increase your interest rather than it all of a sudden occurring to you, which is different for men. So men can get in that space very, very quick, but women actually need that build up to develop a sex drive. So it might be that you actually have a normal sex drive for a female, that, you know, maybe you were hoping that the testosterone was just going to spark the fires instantly and you were just going to be turned on and ready to go every time you see your fabulous husband, I'm sure. But actually it might be that it would take you time to get into that space, and we need to put in some measures to work out what is actually going to get you to peak interest. So if I was having a consultation with this lady, I would be asking a lot more questions about what does sex do for you, what exactly are the difficulties you're finding, are you enjoying your sex life once you're in the swing of it, are you able to have an orgasm, are you enjoying your sex life, is it comfortable or is it painful, is it difficult. I would be having a big discussion around lubricants and vaginal moisturizers, and making sure that you are using good quality lubricants, not necessarily stuff that you can just buy off the high street in the supermarkets, because I know some of those have got ingredients like glycerin, parabens. Alcohols that can be really reactive to the vaginal microbiome and make you more prone to having infections like thrush and BV. So just be very careful of what lubricants you're using, and use very good quality ones that are not going to be irritant. I always signpost patients to a great British company called Joe Divine that is run by a lady called Sam and her husband, and Sam used to be a nurse, so she's very, very passionate about sexual products that are skin safe and don't cause extra problems. So do have a look at them. So I tend to signpost them to brands like Sutil, or Yes is another good brand that is very skin safe. Testosterone, yes, we can use testosterone for female libido. The guidance is that you have to be on HRT already, and that testosterone is an add-on for menopausal women who have lost their libido. But Nadia, this will be a great place for you to come in.
Yeah.
Testosterone.
So so testosterone is kind of one of the hormones that is produced in abundance from the ovaries. And so as we go through the menopause and our ovaries start to fail, obviously we're reducing our estrogen, our progesterone, but as well our testosterone. And although it is widely advertised as testosterone for libido, we do know that testosterone can have benefits on other areas of our physiology. For example, brain fog, drive, passion, motivation, all of those kind of maybe what are considered to be the male elements, male behavioral elements. However, the amount of testosterone that we need, we tend to prescribe very small amounts, which is within the female physiological range, but sometimes we don't know what a person's testosterone was before. So maybe they had a higher testosterone level than what the general advice is to prescribe. And so that coming back to the question of why can't I have a higher dose of testosterone? Because as Lisa said, libido is so multifactorial, and maybe this will be an eye-opener to a lot of people, but actually the largest factor that affects our libido is being in a long-term stable relationship. And it's having that discussion with women, because when we are in long-term stable relationships, our desire may not be as it used to be. You can no longer just want to jump into bed, or you're kind of raving to go. But so it does take two to tango, and I do genuinely believe that it's important to have those discussions with your partner, because men's sex drives tend to be at this point in our lives a lot higher than women's sex drives. And so it's about opening the discussion. And it's not just all about women. If a guy is not performing as they used to, they're no longer having erections as hard as they used to, that's uncomfortable for women. It's painful, but not everybody's going to have that discussion. So I would really recommend, as Lisa said, having longer consultations, time to ask the questions, time to cover everything, but also being mindful of what's going on with my partner. Maybe something's going on there that's impacting on this. And so it opens the door to have those honest discussions. And you never know, you may actually be saving your partner's life, because if your partner's having problems with erections, erectile dysfunction, there could be something going on in their cardiovascular system that's affecting their heart. So, encourage them to go and have that discussion with their GP, be open about it and go together. So testosterone is good. It's not for everybody. It takes a while to actually build up an impact. So we usually tend to say about 3 months of standard dose, maybe giving it up to 6 months. A lot of questions that women ask me, well, what about this private androfem or this one? The active ingredient in androfem, which is privately, you'd have to buy it, or Testogen, which is available within the NHS, is very similar. And actually there's no one better than the other, because I hear women come in to say, can I have the female testosterone? It's all the same. It's all the same testosterone. And as for it not being available within the NHS, that's not true. It is available. It just has to be prescribed by a specialist, and that specialist could be a GP, it could be a pharmacist, it could be a nurse, it could be a doctor within secondary care. But the reality is that there is, Lisa, you can expand on this, about your kind of Bible of what you can and can't prescribe within primary care, isn't it, with testosterone?
Yeah, so testosterone prescription from primary care will only be given by a few GPs who are really familiar with it. So it wouldn't be like a standard medication, compared to the rest of HRT. The usual HRT, every GP should be able to prescribe and should be fairly comfortable at doing that, particularly with the backup of Nadia's email guidance support. But testosterone be rarer for a GP to prescribe. We have to be quite familiar with prescribing it. It needs monitoring, but it is available on the NHS. So worth speaking to your GP about that, or maybe getting a referral to a specialist service if that GP is unfamiliar with prescribing it. Just a quick question here for you. Can HRT help with heavy and irregular periods during the perimenopause, Nadia? Yes or no?
Yes, however, we also have access to the pill. So the combined contraceptive pill, which is also giving us, because we have to remember during menopause, not only are we going to be tackling our perimenopausal symptoms, but we also need to be mindful of contraception. And so HRT is not contraception. And therefore, rather than jumping straight towards HRT, we could have that discussion about the pill. And the pill will not only give you hormone replacement, but it'll also give you contraception. If, however, you don't really want to go on the pill, or you don't want to think about the pill, then we could think about HRT, but HRT is not as effective as managing irregular bleeding within the perimenopause. And if you did want to look at a better form of HRT, perimenopause bleeding, then something like the Levocert or the Mirena coil is going to give you progesterone. It'll also protect the lining of the womb. It'll help to control your bleeding. And if you need an addition of estrogen on top of that, then that gives you kind of like you're hitting two birds with one stone, or as I used to say, one bird with two stones.
Right.
Yeah.
Another very common question here. Emma, you'll be great for answering this. My main problems are anxiety and weight gain. Is it cortisol? Do I have a cortisol problem? Cortisol.
Perhaps.
Often mentioned on social media, isn't it? About
Yeah.
The cortisol. I always feel like cortisol gets a really bad rep, but sometimes it really helps us, the cortisol.
Yeah.
But,
Absolutely. Yeah.
work with our cortisol.
Yeah, with all of these experiences, with depression, with stress, with cortisol, with anxiety, they've got on board on your experience for a reason. They've earned their place. So really, looking at, why might I be experiencing anxiety, stress, burnout, low mood, low self-esteem, low libido, that's coming from somewhere. And I think passionately that self-awareness is a superpower, and also that self-compassion is a superpower. So if a friend talked to you about their experience, and I've been through all of these health things, just looking through the chat, I'm experiencing joint pain, I'm experiencing forgetfulness, I'm experiencing low libido, sleepless nights, hot sweats, low self-esteem, low libido, depression, my relationships are disrupted by things like mood swings, I'm arguing with people more. All of this has come into the chat since we started this webinar today. This is stressful, going through the menopause, experiencing all of these symptoms. And there are two different versions of stress, I guess. One is, I feel stressed right now, this situation is stressful. And the other one is chronic stress, that your body is going through a stress. And the changes that are experienced in menopause are experienced as a bodily stress. And we know that that raises cortisol levels. We know that that raises noradrenaline levels, and that these spike after some symptoms of the menopause, like night sweats or hot flushes as well. So I think finding a way to soothe your stress system is vital. Can we do this now? Should we do a little thing right now? So one of the most evidence-based things is 5 deep breaths, which takes 10 to 15 seconds. So I'd love it if people would do this with me now. I encourage people to just shake their shoulders out a bit, because we tend to sit like this when we're really stressed. Put your feet flat on the floor, close your eyes if you feel comfortable to do that, and take a deep breath in through your nose. Pause at the top, hold your breath, and blow out through your mouth like a straw. Breathing in through your nose, holding your breath, and out through the mouth like a straw. Do 3 more at a time that feels comfortable for you now. In through the nose. Holding your breath. And when you're ready, out through your mouth. 2 more. Now I want you to take the biggest breath you've taken all day in through your mouth. Really fill yourself up with breath. Hold your breath. And blow out long and slow through that straw. And shake it off again. Have a little stretch if that feels right. And I would love to know, how did people experience that? I'm going to start with Lisa and Nadia because they can chat to me. But please let me know, what did you notice as a result of taking 5 breaths? So this takes 10 to 15 seconds.
I mean, this is something that I've been doing for years, especially when I got involved in lifestyle medicine and meditation, and I've used it when I've been in challenging situations in theatre. And for me, I know I can actually feel it bring my heart rate down. I can breathe deeper and I get more clarity in my mind. So I used to teach that to my trainees. I'd say when the SHIT is hitting the fan and you're stuck and you don't know what to do, just stop. Take a deep breath in through your nose or box breathing, and then let it out through a straw, and do that for at least 3 times, and it gives you more mind clarity.
Yeah, absolutely. How about you, Lisa?
Yeah, exactly the same. It just makes you feel so much more grounded, doesn't it? I often use it in my really busy GP days, because you can imagine seeing a patient bang, bang, bang every 10 minutes, and people have got really complex health things that you're managing. I don't want to take anything from previous consultation into a new consultation for anything to cloud me, or for me to not be 100% on my game and focused. So just doing a few deep breaths like that just helps to zone me into the present moment. So it's with work and being really focused. And there is great evidence to show that it does have a measurable effect on the body. So we know that it switches you from your stress state, so from your sympathetic state into your parasympathetic state. It does bring down your blood pressure, it does bring down your heart rate, it does bring down your breathing rate. And that parasympathetic state is our feed and breed state. So actually it's good for our gut health, it's good for our digestion, it is good for our breed state, so it's good for our libido. So definitely worth fitting in some of those regular breathing breaks throughout the day. And that obviously has a knock-on effect on those cortisol levels and balancing the hormones. Because moving on, weight gain is a real troublesome symptom as well, which
we know is affected by cortisol as well. It makes you crave really sugary, high energy snacks more. We know that those snacks are more likely to keep you awake, and that you have a bad night's sleep, that further increases your cortisol. So that washing machine effect again. And it's tiny things, tiny strategies like taking that 5 breaths that can make a real difference in slowing that washing machine effect down. There's something I want to chat about quickly. I know we're running out of time, but as you were talking earlier about changes in sex drives and things, I just wanted to acknowledge some of the grief reaction that can come with menopause as well. If you're somebody that's been used to having a really spontaneous sex drive, or you've been able to go to the gym or get out of bed in the morning and you've been able to sleep really well, and your body and mind are changing, the way that your relationships are changing, it can hurt as well, and that can be something that exacerbates this stress response. And I think it's important to think about, what are you grieving for on your menopause journey? What is it that you miss? And also looking for those opportunities. Maybe you're somebody that has less of a spontaneous sex drive now, and you know that partner of yours going to have to do a better job of wooing you and, you know, winning you over, much more outer course, you know, getting yourself ready for that experience. There are new opportunities in menopause, and I also think it's really important to acknowledge that grief reaction and to take care of ourselves with that as well.
Well, I think we have a very interesting culture when it comes to menopause in the UK, because our approach is that it is a lot about loss and losing your younger self, and it bringing all of these negative symptoms and a real like suffering, and it really affecting you as a woman, having to balance lots of things like work, like children, like maybe caring for other relatives, managing the house, and wearing all of these different hats. So we do have this kind of concept that menopause is a negative experience and it's not to be celebrated, but we're using a lot of like empowerment of like how can we use HRT and lifestyle measures to feel more in control. But actually in many cultures across the globe, the menopause is a celebrated part of life, where women are actually looked at as these kind of wise leaders in the community, and that it is something to look forward to and a positive change. But we don't really have that here, which is a shame, because yes, it does come with a lot of negative symptoms that are very difficult. But if we don't also have the mindset of, well, actually there is still life with this, and there is life after the menopause, and it's not just an ending, then that will add to the grief, the stress, the anxiety levels, won't it?
Yeah, I mean, I want to add on that. So, I mean, most of the staff who know me and probably people wider field will know I used to love a challenge. I would jump into theatre, the most challenging cases, and I would operate. And you know, it was me that I felt was my identity. I was this surgeon who wouldn't be scared of anything. But I've changed. My body has changed. My stamina has changed. I can't do that anymore. And it's about accepting that I have changed. I'm in a completely different place, but I've kind of turned my energy into something else. Okay, so what do I love? I love this. I love being with who I see, my best friends, making a change in this world, making a difference, channeling my energy into menopause care, clinics. I can't do those surgeries like I used to anymore, but I'm doing something different. And so it's looking at your life. This is not the end of who you used to be. This is the start of who you're meant to be. This is the start of who you're meant to be. What were you here on this earth for a reason? And what do you love? What do you enjoy? And start embracing that, because you've got the next 50 years probably of your life doing that. So I just wanted to jump in. Sorry, Lisa, I know you're chairing the session, but we've only got 3 minutes to go. And so we were really keen to get as much feedback from you guys, whether you enjoyed the session, do you want them evening, daytime, because then Rosie can collect all that data. We're hoping to launch more of these sessions. We're going to have a think about how we do it within our timetables and within everybody else's timetables. But if you could put that in the chat, that would be really helpful.
I'm just going to put a Microsoft Forms feedback. It's super brief, this feedback form, and we would really, really value your feedback about whether this session was helpful. I wonder if we've got a 1-minute answer about ashwagandha, because quite a lot of people have been putting that in the chat, and we made a promise, didn't we? And then we've got railroaded.
So ashwagandha is from a herb, it's a plant, and it's starting to attract quite a lot of attention worldwide. And there is currently a trial that's going on looking at the impact of ashwagandha on long COVID. It's kind of up there with magnesium and zinc, kind of in the supplements that help women through this time of their lives. It's good for helping with anxiety, with managing some menopause symptoms like hot flushes. However, the jury's still out there. We don't know whether it's safe or not to be used alongside other medications because we don't have that data yet. And so if you are currently on treatments such as antidepressants or maybe anti-epileptics, drugs that are managing to help a specific condition, I'm not able to tell you whether ashwagandha is safe or not. But it's certainly.
There's not very much evidence to show that there is major interactions at the moment. But
yeah,
as Nadia said, there hasn't ever been a long-term study with regards to ashwagandha. It has been used for a really long time. It's been around forever, commonly used for people with chronic stress. What I would say is if you're on medications and you've bought it, it might be worth speaking to your pharmacist who can use some resources to have a look and see if there's any interactions. From my clinical experience, I haven't seen major interactions, but it's just something to be really careful of with all supplements. A few people have asked about supplements. What I would say with supplements is just be really careful if you're buying really, really expensive supplements. We know there's a huge market that is really playing on the vulnerabilities of women through the perimenopause. So when you're buying things, if it says menopause on it, just please look at the ingredients and have a look if there's just a multivitamin right next to it, unbranded, that might contain exactly the same ingredients, same level of vitamins, but half the price. So just be really mindful of what you're buying. Supplements wise, the best evidence is actually to have vitamin D.
Vitamin D.
Don't have enough sunlight in the UK to help with that, and vitamin D itself, if that's a bit low, will make you feel low in your mood, and it will also increase the body aches that people get. So vitamin D is a great one for everyone to be on. I'm on it, my family are on it. The rest of it, when it comes to supplements, the best way to have the supplements and the vitamins that you want is through your diet. So having a whole foods diet, lots of colour on your plate, with half the plate being from plants, so fruit and vegetables, and vary it over the week so that you're having lots of different plants, particularly with the phytoestrogens and with lots of the dark colours. That's the best way to have those supplements, but because actually food groups work together. So you think like taking a supplement solves the problem, but it's not as absorbed as well. And what we don't want is for you to end up having just really expensive urine where you're just flushing them out. Like in my clinical practice, I haven't seen that people who are on lots of expensive vitamins are drastically healthier or feel dramatically better. The people who make big changes to their diet and have lots of colourful fruit and veg, oily fish, or healthy fats in their diet, so that they're having lots of omega-3s as well, they're the ones that tend to feel better, probably because it's having a big positive impact on your gut health as well. But there's so we can talk about when it comes to menopause, so many steps that you can put into place that we can't address it all in 1 hour. We wanted to kind of introduce the fact that we've got Mali coming, which is going to be in groups where you're going to see Nadia in a group, benefit from other people's experience, have more information in your consultation, as well as this holistic health coaching. So if you are keen to be, if you feel you need to have specialist input for your HRT needs or your menopause needs, please go and speak to your GP and ask specifically to be referred to the
video group clinics,
the VGCs they're called for short, but putting that on the letter will be really helpful. Please look out for the fact that we will be promoting Mali for the health coaching on the Facebook pages, on the health board pages, when that comes in a few months' time. And if you're really keen to have more of these sessions, then please fill out that feedback form, and we can always get together and do another one. The other questions we will put in a frequently asked questions page onto the WISE and Mali website. So on the Cwmtaf Morgannwg University Health Board, there is a page there for WISE or Mali, and there will be a tab there for frequently asked questions. So we will answer more of those in there.
Yeah, the link that I put in was in editing mode apparently, which I think I've managed to fix now. That seems to be open enough and let me make changes. So I'm really sorry, people that tried to click on the feedback link. Please send us your feedback. That would be really great.
And I think I'd just like to say, I'd like to thank Lisa for really putting me onto this journey. She's truly been my inspiration. Emma, with her wealth of knowledge and experience kind of in behavioral change. But also I want to thank everybody who's here today, because this is something new. And I kind of was reading the chat, and it is a sad fact, but it's the more we know about it, women's health is commercialized. It's a multi-billion kind of industry out there. So just be mindful of that all these new products that are coming out is for you to spend money, And it's not just menopause, it's fertility. It's kind of from our period health, fertility health, pelvic pain, and now menopause kind of has jumped onto the bandwagon. But taking a step back and a lifestyle approach and looking at the best things in life are free. Our diet, our exercise, going for a walk, connections, being part of a community, being kind, journaling, compassion. Those are also the things that are going to make you feel well. And that's just kind of a parting thing from me. And everybody who knows me knows I love my patients and I love you all. And I really hope that you're all going to be well. And we're going to see you in Mali, and we're going to do more of these for everybody.
Yeah, take care of yourselves, and thank you so much for your willingness to be so open as well. It's been so heartwarming to see people really opening up in the chat. I hope that people feel more like they are not on their own in this experience, and I'd encourage you to keep talking to other people who've navigated this chapter of their lives before. People talked about, getting to know themselves from scratch and how difficult that is, and you are not the first person to go through this. So whether that's through Mali or the video group consultations, or just in the cafe at lunchtime at work, please keep talking to each other about this experience. It's been so heartwarming that you've so openly shared today, and thank you so much for coming.
Yeah, thank you very much, everyone. It's so great to get your positive feedback already. Excuse me that I'm looking at multiple screens, so just in case anyone that I'm just off in my own world, I have got 3 screens in front of me for all your comments. Thank you. Yeah, it looks like we'll probably do this again. So yeah, we'll be back.
We'll be back.
Good afternoon, everyone.
And happy World Menopause Day. Bye, everyone.
Happy World Menopause Day. Bye.